Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fragrant Bunker. Today we're going to review a very special fragrance from Creed. 'Tis the time, who thought? But yeah, on my channel we got to it finally. It took a minute, a hot minute, but we're going to review Aventus by Creed. And I actually have here not a brand new full bottle, but I have a brand new sample that I got thanks to my lovely sales associate who, whenever at her perfume counter I purchase stuff that I need, she's always willing to give me samples, and I was like, you know what, let's go for Creed this time. And she delivered. Okay, like I got a ton of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Aventus samples, and I know that everybody's very much into the batch codes when it comes to Aventus. So this one is D4222A11. Here you go. And I have checked all of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of my samples, and they all have the same batch code. So they are all from the same year, the same production. And why am I talking about batch codes? Because you can see them here. Because they people online seem to be really obsessed with batch codes, with the fruitiness of this fruity, pineapple-y chypre, changing according to the seasons, according to the years. Sometimes it is more intense on the fruity side. Sometimes people complain that it is too heavy on the bergamot, not enough on the pineapple. People complain that throughout the years, it was released in 2010, and they complained that throughout the years, it's been watered down, even though the price keeps going up. We've heard that story before with a lot of other brands. This is not just Creed playing greed. See what I did there? But first, before we get to it, spritz it on and review it together. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Push the join button next to the subscription button. Become a member today. Gain access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon, superdacob, all spelled together there as well for extra perks. This video is being filmed live in front of a live virtual audience. I live stream several times a week on my main superdacob channel. Come follow me there to join the chats. Hello to my co-chattors. We are reviewing this perfume live. My hair is a mess. Oh well, bear with me. We are being savage today. But then again, the perfume kind of calls for it, in my humble opinion. Everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's alleged and just my opinion, okay? I'm not sponsored by Creed. I bought my own products, and then my sales associate gave me these samples, so every opinion is biased, because a biased opinion means it's your opinion. Of course, your opinion is going to be in one direction. But anyway, so here, this is going to be a controversial review. Let's spray it on. I've been playing with this one for several days now. So I've been testing it, playing with it, wearing it for different occasions, morning, evening, day, night, outside, indoors. So I've been kind of developing an opinion on it. The first time I sprayed it on, because so many people have an opinion on Aventus, I thought, okay, this is such a controversial kind of fragrance in many ways. It's probably going to knock me out of my socks, But then the first time I sprayed it on, oh my God, this hair today. The first time I sprayed it on, I was like, yeah, okay. It is a chypre-esque barber shop green fragrance, not too fruity. It is, but we've had fruitier. If you want more pineapple, go check out Chanel's Chance Eau de Toilette Pineapple Bomb, released years before Aventus, just FYI, before you start saying they copied Aventus. No. But anyway, so if the pineapple is what you're looking for, you can get it elsewhere. Now, 2010 is the year in which it was released. It has certain similarities with Bleu de Chanel, although I wouldn't say one copied the other. It's just that both of them were released in the same era, in a time where a specific olfactive formula, recipe, or poetry was requested from fragrances catered to men. Now, in my humble opinion, perfume knows no gender, so wear whatever you like on your own skin. But the nose behind this one is Erwin Creed and Jean-Christophe Hérault. Now, what does Creed say about this perfume? They say that Aventus celebrates strength, vision, and success, inspired by the dramatic life of war, peace, and romance lived by Emperor Napoleon. Now, you're going to notice as we go down this review, this constant callback to history, this constant obsession with proving that the brand is that ancient, that it's been around for centuries, that it has roots really back in time, and does it though? Does it really? Let's find out. The bottle is emblazoned with a silver emblem of a horse and a rider. The finest ingredients were hand-selected for the composition, and father and son developed this provocative, masculine, and optimistic fragrance as a joint effort. Top notes: black currant, bergamot, apple, and pineapple. Heart notes: rose, dry birch, Moroccan jasmine, and patchouli. And then in the base, we got oak moss, musk, ambergris, and vanilla, even though in the current version of the ingredient list, there is no oak moss listed. There is a substitute for it, but no Evernia furfuracea, Evernia prunastri, no tree moss, no oak moss. Also, there is no ambergris listed, but what is listed is ambroxan. So we do have a synthetic ambergris, and then we have a synthetic oak moss, basically ingredients you can find anywhere. So are the prices of $400, $500, $300 according to the size, because it's available in different sizes between, I think, 30 or 20 ml. Let's check. 30 ml, 75 ml, 120 ml, 250 ml. And then I've seen those big splash bottles if you want to splurge and have that aesthetic of a big one, like 400 or 450 ml, 800 ml, that goes for like $1,000 or what have you. It's a pleasant cologne. Let's be very clear here. It's a cologne that has a barbershop vibe, that has a fruity tingle tangle, right? But it also is spicy in a way. Quite pleasant, really, in the opening notes. Soft, but zesty. The bergamot and the citruses is what kind of give it that punch that makes it kind of smell clean. I've been reading up on reviews on this, people online, their opinions. The first issue that we have. Okay, so first of all, here's that emblem that that Creed is talking about, that crown with the feathers. And you see how they are very, very, very particular about placing that 1760 date over there just to kind of prove their point, like, hey, we've been around, okay, we know what we're doing. They're implying that they've been making perfumes since 1760, and this is where the controversy begins, because nobody seems to be able to find any bottles that are that old from Creed. Matter of fact, nobody seems to be able to find any bottles like from, I don't know, older than what, 30, 40 years, 20, even 20 years, really hard to find. So, but apparently, this contract, and of course everything alleged, seems as though they were tailors. They were making fabrics and clothes in 1760, but not perfumes, right? So, but they're kind of trying to make it sound like, hey, we've been master perfumers since 1760, but that does not seem to be the case. Now, it's controversial. Proof is in the pudding. If they start, if bottles from 1760 of Creed perfume start popping up in museums, then we can change the narrative. But up until that moment, if Creed itself doesn't have really the proof, what are we going to do? But this is what my first issue with this 1760 year, you don't need to have that longevity in history to prove what a great perfume house you are. You just need to have a good product. And Audrey is saying in the chats, I love a barbershop vibe. Me too. One of the best barbershop vibe fragrances that I've ever smelled is Balenciaga's Ho Hang, or Oang. Ho Hang, literally Hohang. I know it sounds a little bit dirty, but the smell is unfortunately discontinued. The smell is very barbershoppy. It has that bergamot from the 70s. Bergamot zesty, it's a 70s fragrance, so way before Aventus. Zesty, spicy, citrusy opening, but then it goes into that creamy foam, barber foam accord and smell, a little bit of Old Spice, a little bit of tabac. It's gorgeous, really, really gorgeous. This one, it's a cologne with a little bit more rainbow colors added to it rather than it just simply being green, even though it's quite green with a smidge of other colors. And I think this is the first step of its success amongst the men, especially maybe the younger folk. The fact that a lot of men, and here we get to this gender issue here and masculinity, heaven forbid anybody were to question it, right? So all you men out there that might have clicked on this review of this video because you saw Aventus and then maybe you're very heterosexual and you're very sure of your sexuality and how dare a guy with long hair and makeup talk to you about it. And I've seen it all before, I've heard it all before, and then people commenting in the comment section, what is that? So you're kind of like taking away the humanity from me by calling me a thing rather than a human being. I'm very much a man, and believe it or not, makeup was used also by the people that your favorite perfume house alleges to have perfumed in the past, 1760 and so on and so forth. Men who used to wear wigs and would have several women that they would bed and have kids with. Those same men would wear very long hair, long wigs, a lot of makeup as well. But those were other times. I just so happen to have a style that doesn't follow trends at the moment, but that doesn't make me any less of a man. So, spare me your sexual and gender insecurities. And if you want to learn something, stick around and listen to what I have to say, because this is an interesting gender study, this perfume. You see, a lot of thought went into this review, as I believe a lot of thought went into this perfume. And what I think is really interesting about it is that it is very masculine in its approach to perfume, but it adds just a smidge of extravagance through that apple and pineapple, okay, to make this a little bit just, and I'm talking a nano milli-inch more than just your regular 4711 cologne, which I also adore. And by doing so, this perfume opened up the doors to all of those insecure men out there that really, that type of man. And for those of you who know what I'm talking about, who might have worked in perfume at perfume counters, when that insecure man, fragile in his gender identity and orientation, comes to you and says, I want a perfume for men. Can you show me the perfumes for men? Like, they're very specific. They need to see the sticker on the perfume that says pour homme or for men, and otherwise they feel like everybody's going to label them as gay. Heaven forbid, right? Heaven forbid. So Aventus kind of opened up that door to that type of man that wants to prove the masculinity, but wants an edge. And that edge has to be very minimal, not too edgy. Otherwise, you're going to lose that customer. So they played it very, very shrewdly with this perfume. And then, of course, Mr. Beckham started wearing it, and then that opened up a whole other can of worms of the type of metrosexual. In fact, David Beckham was one of the first to be labeled metrosexual back in the Y2K era. A whole new sphere opened up for men and how they dress and how they're coiffed and groomed. And so, all of a sudden, this perfume, it didn't kind of become popular overnight. It took it a while, a couple of years before it kind of became huge. It didn't cost this much back then either. But more and more of these kind of groomed, coiffed men started appreciating this smell, and this is why you're going to see a lot of reviews out there telling you, also from women, alleged women, because we don't know. Whoever leaves reviews online, they don't show their face, they don't show their true identity. We don't know who really leaves these reviews, but I've read quite a few of these reviews written by whoever uses female usernames, and they state, I don't care what you have to say, but a man can pull off Aventus if he's fully coiffed. The hair has to be on point. The jacket, the suit, you need hygiene at home. You got to be clean all the way. You got to have the money. You got to have the expensive watch. You got to have the expensive car. Only then does Aventus really work. And then it started to click in my head, and I thought, oh, I see. So Aventus is kind of like the cherry on top of what men consider to be a status symbol fragrance. Like, oh, you are wealthy, you are well off if you are groomed and coiffed in a certain way and you wear Aventus. And this is where the popularity of this perfume kind of exponentially exploded, where all the men that could not afford to have their Bugatti, Ferrari, their Rolex watch, but they wanted to have a piece of that lifestyle. They started associating Aventus with cosplaying that lifestyle. And this is also why you're going to see, in my humble opinion, a lot of comments online on perfume fragrance websites that review and talk about this perfume. You're going to see a lot of comments that say something like this. And we're not even touching base yet on the reformulations. We're going to get to that. But people saying, oh, currently the smell of it isn't as intense as it used to be back in 2010 or 2012 when it was first released. It's more watered down. It's not worth the price anymore. You know, the $300 or the $500 per bottle, depending how big the bottle is you're buying. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can afford it. Oh, the dupes are out there. People, a lot of men in the reviews mentioned the dupes. They list the names of the dupes, who makes the dupes, which dupe smells more fruity, which one is more chypre green. Like, they list the batch codes. They're categorizing everything. And I've noticed that most of them keep talking about it not being affordable to them. And of course, what does that mean? That means that this perfume has become no longer niche. It is mainstream to the point of nausea, where everybody wants it. Everybody's buying a dupe because they can't afford this. But they keep talking about this perfume as if this were the most expensive perfume out there. It's not. There are perfumes out there that cost way more. But it's the type of person who cannot afford this price tag that complains about the price tag. But it's that same type of person that claims that once they wear this, they are treated like kings in the club. You know what I'm saying? That type of vibe. And so it hit me. So it's kind of a part of youth culture. Usually teenager kids of a certain age, entering to their 20s maybe, want to show off and wear something and act cool, you know, and be like, yeah, I'm wearing Aventus by Creed, you know. But you can't afford it, so you get the dupe. So the conversations that are going online for this perfume are not really analyzing this perfume for what it truly is. The smell of it, how does it smell, what stories does it tell? No, it is literally seen as a status symbol, period. And most of these people, trust you me, that are leaving these weird reviews online, they wouldn't know any other perfume, what to say. Of course, they're probably going to know the other, for men, considered bestsellers, okay, from 1 million Paco Rabanne to whatever other Invictus or whatever other tragedy is out there. But they're going to kind of, you know, that's their thing. Baccarat Rouge is an exception where they're allowing themselves to wear a rose fragrance because, again, it's very popular. But the conversation that's been had around Aventus is very much in the category of the masses of men who think this is the panty dropper, who think that this, if you wear this, you're rich, even though you're not. Because if you were rich, you would not be saying that you're buying a dupe of Aventus instead of actually buying Aventus, and you would not be complaining about the price. So that's the type of person that wants this perfume, and maybe Creed doesn't want that type of customer, and they keep upping the price, but they also keep upping the price because they can, because people keep buying this, because this has reached some level of iconic, legendary status for which people don't even question it anymore. Thankfully, there are some people online that are starting to question its composition, longevity. Sales associates sometimes claim at Creed, well, it depends on the harvest because only the most pure of materials are utilized in this one. So sometimes the raw materials that are harvested aren't as fruity or maybe more acidy one year for one batch than the next. So it all depends which batch you get. But honestly, there's a lot of synthetics in here, you guys, that really don't leave a lot of wiggle room for big harvest changes and natural ingredients smelling more this or more that. By the way, Creed is owned by Kering, by the way. So it's not even independent anymore. A huge conglomerate bought it up. So you know what that happens. You know what happens when a huge corporation buys up a smaller brand. Things become streamlined. They become more compressed, maximizing profits. This does not smell very natural to me. It's cute. It's a cute smell, but it doesn't give me rich vibes, James Bond vibes. And by the way, David Beckham, is that your most masculine representation? That's what you are kind of. Oh yeah, David Beckham's wearing he's a real stud. Really? Hmm. Well, I mean, what about the allegations of him having an affair with men behind Victoria's back? Allegedly. You never know. This is what I'm saying. Be careful because you might get hurt in your fragile masculinity. So, what does Creed have to say in their little pamphlet here? Well, they say House of Creed, darling. Established in 1760 by James Henry Creed, the House of Creed has passed from father to son through 7 generations of master perfumers. You see how they're implying that the master perfumers have been working for generations at this brand since 1760 is what they're implying, even though, again, we have no proof of that. It's just their word. Handcrafting creations of distinction, elegance, and originality for royal households and patrons for over 250 years. Each and every Creed fragrance is an alchemy of the finest, rarest natural ingredients we have hand-selected from around the world. Signed by Olivier Creed, Master Perfumer. Then the bottom part of this pamphlet says, from father to son since 1760. They are repeating the year again for the 3rd time on one cardboard. Through the unique process of Millesime, master perfumer Olivier Creed with his son Erwin Creed travel the world to hand select the purest natural ingredients from each year's harvest. Each ingredient is weighed, matured, and macerated by hand through a 4,000-year-old infusion technique that captures the highest quality concentration of natural essential oils. Artisanal fragrances handcrafted in France, creedfragrance.com. In the back, it says that it is an Eau De Parfum concentration that we are dealing with here. And the Aventus ingredients are listed, at least here, are alcohol, parfum, water, limonene, linalool, ethyl hexyl, methohexylamate, butyl methohex, meth, methoxydibenzole methane, Exyl, hexyl, salicylate, citronolol, and BHT. They all sound like drag queens, right? But so, you know, bergamot, blackcurrant, apple, lemon, pink pepper, pineapple, patchouli, Moroccan jasmine, birch, musk, oak moss, ambroxan, cedarwood. It becomes very synthetic as it dries down. It becomes low balmy, like a shaving balm, cedarwood heavy, and ambroxan heavy to me. Not so much musky, at least for this batch. Oak moss, forget about it. There's none of it in here. Okay, so because it would have to be listed if there were any in there because of the allergens that oak moss is considered to carry by the IFRA. So if you're going to make this little pamphlet in France, okay, and you're going to make the perfume in France and you have real oak moss in it, you have to list it on the ingredients list. There's none of it listed here. Just forget about it, okay? Forget about the oak moss. It ain't in it. Um, and here's the thing, you guys. I think that it's been given a bad rep because there's this huge expectation of masculinity attached to this, of performance, of it, again, the connection to being very virile, the virility of it, like a man that can satisfy his woman in bed over and over and over again all night, and he wears Aventus. There's somebody on one of these perfume forums, somebody wrote a comment uh, saying a man suspected his wife of cheating while he was at work. He told his best friend about it. He says, I could place a hidden camera in the bedroom, but I don't want to spend that much money. His friend says there's an easy and cheap way to be sure. You see how, again, this cheapness comes into play whenever we're talking about Aventus. This finding other solutions to something rather than having the actual money to hire a private detective and follow the woman around to see if she indeed is faithful or not. No, we're going the cheap route. Attach a spoon under your mattress and place a bowl filled with milk under it. That way, if your wife goes to bed with someone, the mattress will sink and the spoon will touch the milk. All you have to do when you get home is to check if milk is on the spoon or not. The man agrees to do so and goes home. 2 days later, they meet again. So did you do it? Yeah, I did everything you told me. I put the spoon, the bowl, the milk, etc. And I checked yesterday evening. And what happened? Well, the bowl was full of butter. The husband's designated hitter was most likely wearing Creed, says this commenter. This is a review of the perfume. So he's implying that the wife got so satisfied by her lover so many times and so quickly that they created butter out of milk. So this is what this perfume is associated to. This is how much contorted weight we are putting on this fragrance. And it builds up in the minds, especially of heterosexual youth, thinking you're a real man if you're wearing Aventus. For one, obviously, it's never going to live up to its expectations. So the younger kids who can't really afford to buy it, for them, it's really expensive. They're going to expect, boy, this is going to change my life. I'm going to appear very experienced if I wear this, in front of the chicks. And then they smell it and they go, oh, it's not that powerful. Longevity isn't the best either. Well, with the current formulation, at least, I get 2 hours out of this, maybe 3. That's it. Very, very weak. Opening is more fruity, and then as it dries down, it hits that synthetic ambroxan vibe, very mushy, not crisp, not clear. The dry down is not elegant. It's not elaborate. The dry down is quite messy, in my opinion. But it's okay. I would pay $100 for this, not 500, not 300. But so the kids have this high expectation, right? And then when they smell this, it doesn't smell of all of their fantasies and dreams and horniness. It's actually kind of the opposite, really. This is a clean, simple perfume, really. And so this is when we start getting all of these weird reviews about longevity, performance, but then the expectations that we read in these reviews is like, yeah, you're gonna show that woman. You're gonna show her. You're gonna create butter out of milk. That's how, and your lady will never be satiated if you wear this. And when in reality, it just that's not what this is. So I do believe that unjustly, this becoming so massively popular has put on it such a high expectation that it will never really be able to fulfill the expectations of these people. So we gotta tone it down, dial it down a notch, like Zubetta and Daddy Chill, first of all. Second of all, if you start seeing this perfume for what it is, a very simple, clean, albeit synthetic cologne with barbershop vibes, leave it at that. Then it's really beautiful. Then it's really beautiful. Don't put a crown and a bejeweled crown and a plaque and build a castle for something that isn't a king and it doesn't have the budget for a castle. You know, it's beautiful in a barber shop. It's beautiful in its simplicity. And that simplicity is elegant. And if we analyze Aventus from the standpoint of not too many expectations, I just want to be nice and clean today. I want to leave the house smelling nice and clean with a smidge of synthetic vibe. Why not? We live in a synthetic world. It's okay. Not everything, not every perfume that is amazing is also 100% natural. Forget about it. That's not the case anymore. Not in today's society, not with today's technology. So we can also have amazing perfumes that are synthetical, okay, that are synthetic. And that's okay too. But like I said, the expectation that we should put on Aventus, if you really want to enjoy it for what it truly is, then simplify your expectations, lower your expectations, and then you will enjoy this perfume. Of course, this perfume messes your expectations up because Creed upped the price of this ginormously. So it's at a point where not only are you hearing stories from other men telling you they've been really successful with the ladies when they wear this, but you're also seeing Creed upping the price, telling you you got to be a real man that's successful to be able to afford this. So of course you have that double expectation. Wow, if I actually shell out the $300, $400, or $500 to get this, I'll get lucky in bed. And then like that doesn't happen. And then you get upset. And then you come online to write a review saying it's too weak, it's been watered down, it doesn't smell like it used to, the pineapple is guilty. There's no more pineapple like there used to be. It's not as fruity as it used to smell. Well, the joke's on you. You're expecting way too much from a perfume that is very simple. In its synthetic simplicity, it's fun, and it's fun to wear. But it ain't worth it. But like all things, and I don't mean to offend anybody, if you like it, you like it. What can I say? To each their own. But with all things that become massive, you know there's an element of banal in them. There's an element of uninspired. You know, something that becomes massive is something that is not edgy by nature. It's the definition of massive. Massive appeal does not have character. You cannot have strong character if you want massive appeal. Why am I saying this? Because the masses are educated as per how the governments work, how society works, to tone it down, uniform yourself. Don't express yourself too much. You're too expressive in the way you dress and how you do your makeup. Oh, well, then you're kooky, you're cuckoo, you don't really fit in. You gotta be part of the norm in order to fit in, blend in. And within that norm, you can find a way to excel. Okay, if you're that jock in college, you're gonna wear the most boring boy next door clothes. You know, gonna have that smile, you know, when you go out, you know, meet the chicks, and you're going to be wearing that cocky Gap denim, okay? Banana Republic, whatever, you know. Sure, you're going to have your special attire when you go to the movies. You might have your little Hilfiger moment, you know, your little Calvin Klein underwear that you're going to show off, the little band, you know, to show off your little muscle down there and that little kind of Calvin Klein. That's like as far as you're going to go. That's as far as you're going to go. Okay? But you're not going to dare actually get a shirt from Rick Owens instead of Hilfiger, right? You're not going to dare wear a patent red leather shoe, even though male model. No, that's already out of the norm. So you're going to keep all of this in the norm. Now, the only thing that you can excel at is if you're that jock in high school that's doing all the sports and you're muscly. It's your muscles that get you through the day, and because you're winning at all your sportive events. But that's also the norm. That's set by society. Well, a man is going to have success in his adult life if he is behaving like we want him to behave according to our rules at school, in high school, in college. So you think you're excelling. You think, well, I'm better at sports than anybody else in my class or anybody else in my year. But in reality, you're just conforming to the mold that they are pressing you into. So it's an illusion, you see. The only and this is part of that illusion. And this is why I think it's kind of genius that they're kind of telling you we've been making perfumes since 1760. We've been a part of a mold since 1760, even though we don't know if they really did or not, doesn't matter. But they are telling you, look, we're offering you that stability. We've been around for centuries. We are part of creating that mold, of pressing you into. We are part of that homogenizing. We are part of that normality, the norm, excelling within the norm. And so you believe if you excel within the norm, you succeed in society. You climb up that social ladder. And Aventus is some way down the line, this perfume started being a sort of promise of that. It's like when you wear this perfume, the promise shall be fulfilled. You will be one of those normal people that are completely pressed into the norm, not special, not different, not particular, not individual whatsoever, but you're going to be that guy next door that every chick wants because you're standard. You're healthy, you're doing what you're doing, but is it really healthy? You should ask yourself, because in my opinion, that's not healthy. It kind of scares me, quite frankly. I'm the type of person who broke out of that mold many years ago. And when I look back at it, I'm like, oh my God, it's like Stepford wives or Stepford husbands. Every time I see these repetitions of the normality and the banality repeating itself throughout these rosters and formulaic behavioral patterns, whether it be how you dress, what perfume you wear, how you talk to your friends, how you go out, what's the structure of a date, what's permitted, what's not permitted to say, to think, to behave, how you have to walk, how you have to talk, how you have to move your body when you're sitting down, when you're talking to somebody, don't move your hands too much if you're male. Like there's this whole system of rules set in place that do not allow you to be an individual, that do not allow you to express your inner core. There's a whole set of rules put in position to make you annihilate your identity and just kind of dress up in a uniform and put on a mask to fit the norm. And this is where things are born. Like, for example, you go to the shop and somebody, the cash register tells you, how are you today? How are you? How are you? How are you? How are you doing today? Nobody gives a flying F about how you're doing today. But they're homogenizing in that mold. It's a question. It's the best example of what Aventus is. Aventus is that question. The Aventus perfume and its hype is literally the how are you today? And nobody wants to know how you are today. You just have to understand it just means hi. But so much expectation is put on this perfume, and it doesn't, of course, it can never meet those expectations. And it cannot exceed those expectations because this perfume is it's not from Death Becomes Her. You know, this is not the main character. Well, what's the evil character's name in Death Becomes Her? That's giving you the elixir of eternal life. And then you got to drink it, and then you got to be careful how you behave in order to not break the rules, because otherwise your body might fall apart. This is not that elixir. This is not that elixir. You're spending a ton of money for something that really isn't promising you anything. Kari says Isabella Rossellini. Isabella Rossellini is the actress that acted the character, but I can't remember the name of the character in the movie, with that gorgeous collier that she's wearing. She's topless, but she's only wearing these jewels. And then she kind of lifts that little vial of that elixir that you pay a lot of money for, and when you drink it, eternal life is yours. That's kind of what Aventus is. But in reality, all it is that, how are you today? And this entire cliche of behaving and how to make it in society really works very well with this perfume. And this is why I think it's very successful. But it cannot live up to the expectations. So, like I said, for me, we got to tone it back down, dial it back a few thousand steps back, and just smell this for what it is. There's a smidge of saltiness in there as well, like an aquatic accord. Simple, clean. You should take a bottle with you in your bag, purse, your man bag, or your backpack, and then you gotta kind of, re-spritz from time to time just to freshen up, because this thing is gone after 3 hours. And I have the current batch. I'm making this review in 2024. And so this is a batch code from 2024, I do believe, D4222A11. So the story that Creed tells me is of a misunderstood perfume. It is a fragrance that just really, for some odd reason, became popular, but it kind of doesn't want to be popular. It doesn't want to be on everybody's wish list. It doesn't want to be, that jock that became popular because he's excelling in sports in college or high school. He just wants to be left alone to live his life, really, and doesn't want to be in the spotlight all the time. That's the vibe Aventus is giving me, and yet everybody expects it to constantly be in the spotlight. And I have the feeling that Aventus is kind of like having a burnout at the moment, and it's just like, I can't anymore, you guys. Please, I cannot be in the spotlight anymore. That's the vibe it's giving me. Now, Aventus, interestingly enough, has a variety of meanings. What does Aventus mean? And does it mean success partially, but also it means, what did I prepare here? Aventus, like A, which very bizarre. Hold on a second. Aventus. Success according to Creed, but honoring traits of virility, power, strength, and vision. And again, they say, because inspired by Napoleon, the man who crowned himself Emperor of France and all Europe, a self-made king who waged war, peace, and love on terms he set. And then they say that's what Creed Aventus gets its name from, an ancient word meaning success. But something that is coming also, venire. So ventus from Latin, to come, announcing the arrival of something. It's almost as if the meaning that Creed puts into Aventus is the maximum of what it should or could be, which is like success. But in reality, it's kind of like a timid announcement saying, hey, I've just taken a shower. I've just been to the barber. I've just groomed myself. And I'm timidly ready to go to my next appointment, and I have an interview for a job, and I hope I do well at that interview so I can get the job and move on with my life. So I'm announcing to you that I'm kind of getting ready for that. I don't know if I'm going to succeed, though. Interesting. So Aventus can also mean a question. We're not sure if we're going to succeed. And yet Creed pushes the success. Guaranteed success. That's what it means. Cha. Synthetic Ambroxan Chypre. How are you today? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Subscribe and thumb up this video if you've enjoyed it. And don't take offense to what I say. I'm just trying to open your eyes. Thank you. Until next time, never forget to never give up on love. Bye.